Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm DB Velocity, and this video here will cover some of the sounds that the TTSH version 4 has to offer, as well as showing a bit of the CV track feature of the Akai Professional MPC One. I'll then cover a bit of workflow on the MPC to capture sounds and make a quick track. So this video is essentially a 2-for-1. Though if you're not interested in the MPC One and you want to just hear the TTSH in action, you can jump forward and check out some sounds of this synth. Otherwise, stick around and see how I use the MPC to control modular gear and capture sounds. As you likely know, this applies to other MPCs using the current 2.8 firmware. This also applies to any modular or semi-modular synth that standardly uses volt per octave CV and gate. Now, if you're not familiar with what the TTSH is, it's a DIY clone build of the ARP 2600. Thus, it's aptly named TTSH. This here is version 4, which was made readily available from synthcube.com after the initial builds that were offered from the human comparator, who is responsible for this cloning project and made this possible. Links are included below. Here you can see that I've got one that I built with great success, and my only modifications to the build was the inclusion of the gate booster circuit, which was designed by a fellow named Fuzzbase, who has contributed an enormous amount and regularly helps those who have troubleshooting problems. He also authored a thorough build document written with great detail, so huge props to you, sir. The other mod that I applied is simply the AC coupling on the filter circuit. Okay, to start, I'll begin setup for the CV and gate outputs of the MPC and patch into the synth accordingly. I'm using these breakout cables, which are the HOSA YMM261 adapters, though I'm sure there are others. But with these, I can then use the 2 CV channels per output jack on the MPC. And on the breakout cables, you have the tip, which is black, and the ring, red, split out. And an easy way to remember what's what is to think of the term pitch black, as a typical use is to have channel 1 go to the pitch and then use another channel for gate. The term pitch black just helps me remember how to configure the tracks in the MPC and how to patch into the synth. So let's do that now. Of course, you'll want to send audio to the inputs for sampling. I'll open a new project and set up a CV track to get things going. I'll begin by selecting the track for CV control. And let's say I go to track 5. It'll all become clear in a bit why I do this. And I'll select CV as the track type. Now, go to the settings in the CV program below, and under gate port, set that to CV5. Now I'm all set up, and I can proceed to the sample page to grab all my sounds. So for the workflow, I'll dial in each drum sound, sample it, and then dial in a few synth patches and build a key group or two, and perhaps use the looper to set up some clips. I'll worry about cleaning up samples and building it all into a kit when I've captured a few variations of each patch that I do. Okay, now I've gone and tuned up and basically zeroed out the levels. So my oscillators are in tune, and I'm just gonna use oscillator 1, pretty decent little envelope setting. Filters mostly closed. I got just a touch of resonance, touch of envelope to it, touch of envelope 2. I mean, just a minute of envelope 2, oscillator 1, which is the source that I'm listening to, and just the classic square wave and that's what I've got. Pretty simple. So I'll just head to the sample page now, and I'll hit this button up here, key group. So I'll hit do it. Every 3 half steps there. So it's really great that you can build key groups using the CV channels just as same as you would use the MIDI channels to build a key group. So that's really nice. I can create all kinds of patched voices here and essentially save that patch as a key group on the MPC. There's our auto sampled key group. We can give this a new name. Now I'll go back to creating another key group for a more melodic upper range tone just to add another layer for this song. So with the drums, the bass, and this other sound, I'll probably opt to put in some sustained tones for backing harmony or basic progression. Yeah, why not? So I'll head back in, hit key group. I've been jamming out a few ideas for this track, and I opted to not use the looper or the clips. It's a pretty useful feature, but I just didn't find a need for it in this instance. At times, it makes sense for a heavily affected phrase that I can use as a layer that syncs to the pattern, and of course, it has features that could help with other workflows. I won't dive into how to build a song here. I do what works for me. And what's great is there are many approaches to how you arrange and compose or perform. Now, I want to note that in building the song, I did choose to apply some of the onboard effects so that I could glue the sounds together, mainly compression and shelving EQs, but it is a product solely of the TTSH and the MPC One. That said, all sounds are derived from the TTSH. A final note that I forgot to mention earlier is that I am using the 4072 filter, as I wanted to get away from using the common ladder filter that is in so many other synths. I like to use synths with a character of their own and then combine them in a mix so that I have a wider range of complements. That's why this particular project is so different for me. And being restricted to the sole character of this synthesizer uh, basically led me to apply some of the effects as I mentioned. Anyways, The layout that I have is track 1 is drums, 2 is my bass, and then 3 is this organ type sound key group, and then 4 is the upper melodic key group that I created earlier. 5 is controlling my CV still, and I'll use that to play a lead on top of everything. And then I have another key group that I created off camera that I'm using. That's pretty much it. With that layout, I can go ahead and go back to the drums. And looks like I'm all queued up and enough chat. Let's get into it. Yeah, so pretty basic. I'm gonna continue jamming on this and see what comes of it, and that is that. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you next time. Bye.